DreamWorks 30th anniversary countdown, which was supposed to be Small Soldiers, instead ended up being Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken, which was one movie I was considering that when I saw it in the theater, I missed like the first 8 minutes of it. And so because of that, I decided to not do a review of it because I feel a little incomplete. But now officially watched the whole thing. I think it's better. I think it's a better time to review it. Especially since considering that this movie was a big flop. I mean, that movie came out around the time Hollywood was in trouble, if you know what I mean. I don't think the film did do well with critics either. But let's take a look at this movie. And so in this movie, a teenager Kraken named Ruby wants to be a normal teenager, wants to go to the prom with someone. But then she starts to gain gigantic powers, which goes crazy and go viral around the world, while she befriends a mermaid named Chelsea. And they team up to get the Oceana for quote-unquote peace. I thought this film it's not as good as other DreamWorks films like Madagascar or Kung Fu Panda, but it's enjoyable enough and kind of charming sometimes, especially when you kind of feel bad for Ruby, where she has a hard time being a teenager, especially when she gains giant Kraken powers, and when she has a hard time with her mother and uncle as well. She's a kind of a sympathetic character, and her character arc was kind of interesting as well. Thought the animation was unique because there's more squash and stretch, though mostly comes from the Krakens because they can move smoother since they are much more leaner, if that makes any sense. But the quality animation and the art was unique. I really liked it a lot. Voice acting was pretty good. I also thought the twist of villain, which unfortunately was spoiled by the trailer, which is kind of a huge disappointment, and it kind of went viral as the evil Little Mermaid. It still feels a little obvious because it feels like when Chelsea hangs out with Ruby halfway through, and she tells her to take the Oceana and foreshadows that mermaids are evil, it is kind of obvious that she's gonna be the antagonist. And when it's revealed that she's actually another person and not the daughter of the mermaid that she is kind of hinted at when the grandmama said Nilsy had no daughter. But it's an obvious twist villain, but she was okay. A threat to Ruby, an arch nemesis. And she was a little entertaining even before the twist happened, where she was celebrating herself as a quote-unquote hero, and also befriending Ruby as well. I also thought the big climax and the big party was also very entertaining, especially the climax where Ruby and her mother and grandma have to fight the mermaid before she can destroy the prom boat. And it was a very fun climax where they had a hard time fighting her at once, but when they formed together with laser eyes, she went down, the mermaid, and got kidnapped by the captain, who was Wayne who was hunting for Kraken throughout the film, especially when he discovered a giant Kraken, that being Ruby as well. And he was a little funny, and maybe the uncle too, but not as much as the captain as well. Um, I and I also thought the mother and grandmama were decent enough characters. Where they have their two different lines, where the mother was selling her house and was trying to be be a little bit protective of Ruby for a bit, but not as much. And grandmama, who is trying to teach Ruby teach Ruby her powers. And they made for a very fun team at the climax as well, with Ruby. And yeah, overall, I thought Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken was a decent film. It's not one of my favorites, but it's decent. What do you guys think of it?